kind enough to let me stay at his parents' house, and has this beautiful basement, puts me up, brings down some blankets, doesn't say a word, gives them to me, kind of walks up the stairs a little bit, comes back down, and says, you know what, actually, I want you to watch these 4 videos before you go to sleep. And I'm going to, in the morning, test you.
On today's episode of the Grab Matters podcast, we welcome on a very special guest, former professional wakeboarder Jimmy LarRiche. We're chatting with Jimmy about his early days on the cable, growing up at Ski Rixen, and then eventually how he got into the boat side of things, what it was like growing up and riding with Adam Errington and kind of having a vision for what their life could look like as pro wakeboarders and then actually realizing that vision. We're talking about if he had quite possibly the most profitable Cab 9 in all of wakeboarding history. We're also talking about, a lot of sponsors, what those deals look like over the years for him, what Hyperlight looked like as a rider, as well as, a lot of the royalties and stuff like that. We're also going through kind of the end of his career and how he switched from being a pro rider and then going behind the scenes on the sales side of things, selling some boats over in Oregon and then moving back to Florida and continuing that. As always, if you guys are interested in supporting the podcast, joining the Patreon is the best way to do that. I want to give a huge thank you to everybody who's on the Patreon. Your guys' support is literally what keeps this podcast going, so thank you guys so much. Without further ado, let's get into this episode of the Grab Matters podcast.
I approve waterboarding. They're talking about wakeboarding. The thing about wakeboarding, every trick is an invert.
Backside.
Air railing.
A new dimension.
We're back. Another episode of the Grab Matters podcast. Today we welcome on a very special guest, Jimmy LarRiche. How's it going, Jimmy?
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for coming on, dude.
This is awesome.
So you're staying at Parks's, right? Hanging out with him for a little bit.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Over in Claremont.
Yeah.
Have you been riding at all?
Parks and Page.
Parks and Page. P&P.
P&P.
Pimps.
PBs.
PBs. Oh, yeah.
They will be PBs.
They will be PBs. Double PBs.
Come
So-
this August.
Have you been riding at all? Are you taking some sets with them? Or are you just hanging out for a little bit?
We were in some double ups,
Yeah, actually?
No.
You had me fooled there for a second, dude.
Yeah, a little e-foil and a little hanging on the dock and stuff, but
E-foil's pretty fun, dude. Yeah, over in Claremont. So I got first couple questions.
cool.
Favorite grab?
Melon. Big old melons.
Melon.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that is the number one answer.
I mean,
Nothing wrong with it.
Utilize it, everything. Probably the easiest one for me, which I don't mind, you can come in, poke a big old melon.
Yeah.
Not bad,
I like a good melon, dude.
right?
I love a good melon. Take that back. All right. Wake pants. What do you think? You gonna wear them? You ever worn them? What do you think about them?
I've never worn them, but I'm a big fan of Shane. And that dude can, he's got some things that have existed through the sport for a long time. Wake pants, Tootsie Rolls, Dum-Dums.
Yeah. That's a big three.
Right? I mean, those are like some of the biggest things that are happening in the
Tootsie
sport right
Rolls,
now.
yeah, still be going down today.
Yeah. I mean, if you would have asked me 10 years ago,
Would you be a hard no?
I mean, I would have made fun of Shane for him. but I mean, now I'm just proud of him,
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So you see a pair of wake pants, you're like, all right, cool.
That's my boy Shane.
Okay. Just Shane, though. Is it just Shane?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Okay. All right, just Shane. All right. I just wanted to clear that up.
Yep.
All right. We got a early Patreon question. So thank you to everyone on the Patreon. Your guys' support really helps keep this podcast going. And this one's from Tom Brady. He just joined yesterday. And Tom Brady says, hyped for this pod with Jim, LFG. That's Let's Fucking Go for the people who don't know. Lots of great memories with this guy. Got to get together again soon. Signed, TB. So that's not even a question. Just a statement from the man himself. Your friend, Tom Brady.
That's pretty sick. He signed up.
You think it's real?
Did he just give the $10 or?
He did. He did.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's very nice of him to be on there.
He could have probably given a little more.
I should make a Tom Brady tier is what I should do. The TB tier. Goats only.
He's the best guy.
So I do have a serious question on that. Have you ever met Tom Brady?
I have, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the story behind this?
Yeah, so he bought a piece of property in Miami, Florida, where he has his house now, and he bought it through this guy who it ended up working out where he ended up getting a G25 with it. He was hanging out in the Bahamas a lot with this guy, and they were using this G25, and that got put into the deal to, I guess, sweeten it. I don't know how much you have to sweeten a $25 million piece of property.
$500,000 boat.
Right? I mean, so yeah, it worked out. And right before his last season, he wanted to go out in the boat with his family, and I was sent over to Tampa to kind of teach him how to use the boat. And we heard that his wife really likes to wake surf, Giselle, which I am a super fan of.
Ex-wife, actually.
Yeah.
True.
There you go. Heartbroken about that.
That's tough. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
He's married to the game.
Yeah. Yeah, so he he wanted to learn how to use the boat, is what I was told. So we go there, we get everything ready, and when we're ready to like pick up and stuff, his manager comes out and is like, he's having lunch with his parents right now, and I don't know if it, I think maybe just a quick walkthrough when we're done here. And I was like, oh, we had heard like this, okay, we're going to go there and have this great time.
Like go out on the boat.
Yeah, and enjoy it and stuff. And then all of a sudden, Tom walks down the dock and he's like, guys, kids are getting ready. We're going to have so much fun. Walks up to me. He's like, you must be Jimmy. I've heard so many great things about you. Thank you so much for coming. My name's Tom. And I was like,
shit.
Because I don't, I wasn't a huge football or Tom Brady fan. But when someone like that has that kind of presence and says something like that, it blew my mind. And I go, I swear, I said this back. I've heard a couple good things about you too. Oh man!
What did he say? What happens next? You guys?
He laughed, and then the kids came down, and we everyone got on the boat, and there were a lot of people. We had brought a G21 over there to teach him how his boat works. His boat was getting new interior put in.
Okay. At
that time, and so we're backing out of his little spot, and he's like, "Oh," he's like, "Shoot, yeah, F word." I don't know.
You said F word. Oh, yeah, you can swear.
Yeah. So he's like, "Yeah," and he's like, right behind me, like in the seat, right behind the driver's seat of the G, and he's like, you can see right into my bathroom. He's looking up at his house, and I was like, he's like, I need to get that fixed, right? Like he had just moved into this new place, and I was like, oh my gosh, we're gonna be friends. Like this guy's cool. He's like
was it like a joking? He was like, oh shit, you can see right into my bathroom. I gotta get that fixed.
He's like, oh fuck, you can see into my bathroom. And I was scared, dude, because the kids are on the boat, and they're, like, all jumping around, and, like, I'm backing up. I mean, you don't want to kill, you know what I mean, or hurt anyone.
Kill a Brady. A little Brady Jr.
What kind of life is that after that?
You're done.
Yeah, yeah. So
you're locked in. You're focused, backing this boat up.
Super, super focused. And we had the best day, and at a certain point, Jack Blodgett was with me, and he was like, Tom, have you ever seen Jimmy wakeboard? And he didn't know what wakeboarding was. So I wakeboarded, and I'm getting in my boots, and he was like asking me so many questions, and
Genuinely curious.
extremely,
Yeah.
to the point where I'm like, stop. You know what I mean? Like, just stop it, Tom. And at this point, the kids had gotten off the boat, and it was just his mom and him. And I think that was one of the coolest parts about hanging out with that whole crew, was seeing his whole family.
Yeah.
You know, his mom and dad, as well as his kids and his wife at the time. But yeah, so I did a little wakeboard set, and he's like cheering on the back of the boat, and I'm like, stop it, dude.
What the fuck is going on? That's what I would be thinking.
It was the weirdest thing in the world. And right after I got done with doing a big set, like, not a big set, but, you know, at that time, yeah.
To the viewer who has no idea what they're looking at, yeah.
So tired. He's like, calls Giselle down. Giselle's coming down. He's like, babe. And that, I was starstruck by her, you know. And
Supermodel for those who have no idea.
And yeah, she got on the boat. I had to do another wakeboard set.
And you're gassed, dude.
So gassed. And he's like, you can do it, right? I was like, anything for you, Tom.
Okay, I got a couple of questions here. One was, did Tom Brady wake surf, and did he shred?
He did not.
He didn't ride.
He had a knee injury at the time
Okay.
that no one knew about, which is interesting.
Did you know about it, or did he say anything?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he was like crazy cool. You know, like when you deal with people like that, like typically you go around the back of their house, and you go out and grab an Uber and go to the boat and truck, and you know what I mean? You try your best to minimize any sort of weird interaction when he found out that I was trying to go around to get an Uber, he was like, what? Come in the house. Jimmy, eat some cookies. Eat those cookies. Best cookie you've ever eaten, right? And get in my truck. Like, driving in his truck. One of the coolest things I thought he did too was we're driving through the park to the boat ramp, and everyone's looking, and the windows are down, and he just rolled his window up. Because I don't know, it was I felt like he's not it's just a normal dude.
If you didn't know who he was, you wouldn't have expected him to be the greatest football player of all time.
No way. But he was telling some crazy stories. And now looking back, I thought the whole time he was, they had like the most beautiful family in the world, you know? And like, so when I heard those rumors about them getting divorced, I was like heartbroken. And, but I think it was like maybe their like last ditch effort kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. Bring it all together. Get a G21, go wakeboard with Jimmy LarRiche.
We get in his truck. He's backing out of his driveway. He goes, "You single, married, kids?" I was like, "Single, no kids." He goes, "Fucking awesome."
That's pretty telling right there.
And in my head, I was like, I swear I said this back too. I was like, "But you have like such a beautiful family." Yeah, but he was just so normal, such a cool dude.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. It sounds like it. Genuinely cool.
And I also was thinking, like, you know how much cooler it is, you being single, than like me? The idea of you, me being single in Miami is not that cool. Like, it's way different if it's you, man.
I got a question about the set you took. What kind of tricks are we talking about? We're talking nose grab, chrome mob. You busting out the heel niner?
Dude, it was like,
well, heel back fiver.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
back five.
Maybe a back five. Yeah.
T to B and throw a tantrum.
I mean, it was like in some coastal conditions.
Sure, rough water.
Yeah, not super deep. Definitely some front to fakies.
That's a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
You do a railie? You had to have done a railie.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I bet Tom was all stoked on the railie.
Yeah, I was super sore the next day.
Let's go, Jimmy.
But then they invited us back the next day.
Really?
Yeah, to come back.
And just you ran it back again? Just good day on the boat?
Yeah. We were doing some backflips on the trampoline with the kids, and it was a good time, man. Yeah, I mean, you hear those stories about like how Tom comes up to those guys in the locker room and he's like, "Hi, I'm Tom." Like he does that. Like
it's actually what happened.
He's just it was a very surreal experience, that's for sure.
So was that it with Tom Brady though? Just those two interactions and then just kind of.
It was a few texts here and there.
Yeah. You have Tom Brady's number.
I do.
That's fucking wild.
It might not be the same one.
Anymore. Sure. I'm not going to ask you to call him right now, but that's wild.
Yeah, don't ask Siri.
Hey, Siri, call Tom Brady.
Parks was over at my house, and I had a feeling he was going to do that, and he almost did. He went for it.
You defended it, though?
I unplugged the Alexa.
Oh, the Alexa.
Yeah. That
would have been tough. That's hard. That's harder to defend.
Yeah.
Good on you. That wouldn't have been a good look.
PB.
That's how you get the number deleted, for sure. All right. Well, let's. I think we reverse back all the way to how Jimmy LarRiche got into wakeboarding, because if I'm correct, you started on the cable, right?
Yes, sir.
So let's run through that. How'd you get into the cable?
Yeah. So I had a friend who was super into wakeboarding. I guess maybe not super into wakeboarding, but he would go to Orlando, and there was a place at Disney that did like a boat lesson, and I looked up to this kid a lot, and I thought it was so cool that wakeboarding, you know. And at this time, like wakeboarding is on on TV, right? X Games and ESPN and stuff. Like you could catch it. So we would watch it a lot, and we were super into it. And I had no outlet to actually wakeboard. The first time I wakeboarded was behind my dad's buddy's jet ski that he got, and on Lake Ida, and cruised around a little bit, and kind of fell in love with the idea of wakeboarding before I could wakeboard. You know what I mean? Like the idea that people get to go out on boats and like and I don't know. That was very cool to me. And then when I found the cable park, it was like, oh, okay, cool. This is sweet.
Unlocked.
Like, this is like the skate park plus everything I want, you know? And at that point, there were only, I believe, 3 cables in the United States. So it was Rixen, Texas, and OWC. I think there's one at the water park in Orlando.
Wet 'n Wild or
yeah. But
that wasn't like
other than that. And it was so cool because it was such an incredible community, you know? Like, I made my best friends from that. You know, I was in 2 weddings in the last 3 years, Campbell Smith and Jeff Trudeau, like dudes that I met riding the cable. Like they were operating or, you know, helping me with kind of becoming you know, getting older, and instead of being like in high school, as much as like you hang out with your high school friends, I was hanging out at the cable.
Yeah.
All day, every day. You know, riding boat boards on the cable.
The early days, dude.
Taking off my fins to ride at OWC.
So, okay, so your first cable experience was at Ski Rixen, and you're hanging out there a ton. You're riding there a ton.
Yeah.
So we got a Patreon question from Danielle Crawford Cotton, and she's wondering, what are some of your best memories from your early days riding at Ski Rixen in South Florida?
Man, Danielle Crawford.
OG.
Miss Crawford.
Miss Crawford.
She is, OG. She took care of all of us. It's hard to say, man. There's so many. I think at that time it was like traveling as a group. So with those 3 cables, and Kansas opened at that same time. So we would travel as like the Ski Rixen group to nationals, and no one would be at nationals except for the 4 cable parts.
Yeah, it's not big.
We were doing that for ourselves, and but that time, we really had like the best group, and we all just truly loved what was going on in cable. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah. So I guess, when does boat come into the picture? Because obviously you're riding a lot of cable, but when do you get to start diving into the boat side of things?
Yeah, I had. It was weird because like I didn't ever think I was getting good at wakeboarding. My friends kind of were like, "Oh, you are." I was like getting made fun of kind of because I was a little bit better on the cable, and I didn't like that because we were just like all boys, and I started to kind of realize maybe I should take it more seriously, and then I made a goal of winning. I don't know if it was like boys or junior. I think it might have been boys, like cable overall.
At Ski Rixen or at nationals?
It was like the 3 cable, or maybe 4 at that point. No, it was 4 because the national or the finals, they had a cable tour. So it went Rixen. I believe it went Rixen, Texas, OWC, and ended up in Kansas right as they opened. And if I got to that point and I won, which I didn't think I would, then I'd try to start riding the boat.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I didn't have an outlet to the boat.
I was gonna. So yeah, your plan is to ride the boat, but where, how?
Yeah,
How did it happen?
there was Robbie Jakes. Robbie Jakes. He was very awesome in my early years as well. Like he was doing the same thing. So he got a boat. He helped me to go to like a Tommy's wakeboard contest. First ever time I wakeboarded behind the boat was at a Tommy's contest.
How'd it go?
I mean, not bad. I did a switch hill 3.
Little cab 3 action, okay.
Right. I mean, wasn't bad. Next time I rode the boat, not good. Not good at all. But,
What, you take some slams or what?
I mean, it just took a little bit, And then I didn't understand. Yeah, it was a big, big learning curve for me at that time.
It is for everybody, going from the cable to the boat. But
Yeah.
so you're riding cable, then you start to ride some boat. When do you start taking it real seriously, and when do some sponsors come into the picture?
I think it didn't take too long from riding the boat. I can tell you, I was riding the cable for a while, and I felt like I was good.
How long are we talking? Years? 5 years? 6 years?
But also like days. You know what I mean? Like hours.
Oh, yeah.
Like not just like 2
You're
hours
laughing.
here and there.
Yeah.
Like I had a boot tan. You know what I mean? I'm spending some serious time.
Yeah.
And I went up to OWC for a slider spectacular, and I went to practice, and I'm riding behind Adam Errington, which I was like, holy shit, this is Adam Errington. And he knew me, I knew him, and we were probably 14 or 15 doing some Tootsie Rolls and some, shadow chain.
Shane, look at that coming back, dude.
Just like the board pants. And we were, but we were vibing off each other, but we were hanging with each other. You know how you follow someone on the cable, and we were doing similar tricks and stuff like that. And then afterwards, we like exchanged numbers. We were high-fiving and stuff. And then he went over to the boat side ODUB and rode with Phil, and I was just heartbroken. He went like chromo, tangent of line, toe 7, back 5, and I didn't ride behind the boat at all. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so behind. There's no way I can ever do this.
Dude.
And then Phil rode afterwards, who's like same
Phenom,
age or
yeah.
like younger, you know, and it was just, yeah. To me at that point, I was like, oh man, you know, if you really want to do this, you're going to have to really start trying to do it.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a good turning point. And you brought up Adam Errington, which is a great time to get into a guest question from none other than Adam Errington himself.
What's up, guys? Hope all is well. Really looking forward to hearing this one. Jimmy, how you doing, buddy? Got a two-parter for you. Why don't you talk about, you know, the early days of your career? I know you and I would sit and have long talks about, you know, what sponsors we might get one day, you know, prospects of growing up to become professional wakeboarders and living on the same lake. And, you know, you made all that come true. And what was your perspective on that? A pretty special time making that all kind of happen and come to life. Part 2 would be, how many times have you revved your engine in Erik Ruck's driveway? Time after time, night after night. Just kidding, buddy. Have a good one. Peace.
Oh, okay. We'll do part 1 first because I want to follow up part 2 with another Ruck story. But so, yeah, I mean, I guess.
What a perfect, segue.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. It's pretty bizarre. Me and Adam, I don't know if it was manifesting or what it was, but, you know, at the time we were like 16, 17, was the same time that Rusty and Danny were getting houses out in Claremont. And we wanted to do that same, like, we'll live next door to each other. You know, we're going to do that one day. We're going to, and I remember, like, you know, being very young at my parents' house, talking to Adam for hours on the house phone, you know, and you know, we're going to ride for Fox. We're going to ride for, you know, we had these ideas, but we had these ideas of being different too, you know, and yeah, I mean, it really kind of makes me think that, you know, I mean, we thought this into reality. I bought a house in the hood, and sure enough, the house next door comes up for sale.
That's
it's
crazy.
Like, of course you're going to buy it, right, Adam? And he bought it. And yeah, so, yeah, I think it's really, it's a special thing to, like, really think that you're going to do something. And we really thought, like, I mean, we had, very weird personalities together. We didn't care, like, if anyone else thought things were funny. We thought things were funny. Like, that's okay for us, you know? But we also started on the cable together. You know, we rode the boat a lot together. We had some crazy experiences through those times, but to think that we could, like, kind of push this into reality. I mean, who buys houses next door to each other? I mean, it's not like it's that cool of a thing. It was in the
Yeah, but it's cool as a kid that you're
time.
talking about it, and you're like, we're going to buy houses next to each other, we're going to have boats, we're going to be on a lake.
And then it happened.
Yeah.
You know, and all our neighbors thought we were drug dealers.
What were you?
We definitely weren't. You
wouldn't have lived in the hood if you probably were.
But I'd say we're just showing up with new cars or not new cars, but, you know, new boats,
Yeah.
trucks.
Hey, we're pro wakeboarders.
Yeah.
You got that Fox money. We'll talk about some sponsors in a little bit too. Don't worry about that. All right. So, and then second part is how many times have you revved your engine in Ruck's driveway?
Yeah, man, that's a great question.
Who probably lived across the street or just down the road?
Are you talking like, or is it like every time?
How many times? Like, not each room, but like each room session.
A lot of rooms.
What was the why?
So, Ruck was like, Ruck should have like his house like on a little mountain in the hood, you know, Ruck he's the mayor of the hood. When I moved to the hood, I called Ruck and I said, hey, is it cool if I buy a house in the hood? Out of respect to Ruck and that was like his domain. And
Stomping grounds.
I don't know why I didn't call Shane, but I definitely called Ruck. and yeah, I mean, Ruck was just, and I love Ruck so much. I love Joy so much. And when you go over to their house, it's extremely scary to knock on the door. Like if the garage door is open, yeah, knocking on the door is not that crazy. But even if the garage door is open, I tried to figure out a way which I could maybe get their attention. And if they heard me, they'd walk out if they wanted to come out.
And so that was your solution.
Revving my engine.
For those who don't know, the hood is like Clear Lake. There's like a whole bunch of channels people live on.
I did a lot of revving.
A lot of revving to get Ruck's attention.
A lot of revving, yeah.
How long are you going to be revving for in the parking in his driveway? 3 revs and then you wait a second.
Well, it depends on how much I wanted to see him. But I mean, don't you think that's a good idea? They don't understand it. They're like, you can come up anytime and come on in.
Yeah, but I guess if you knock on the door, then they're obligated.
Exactly.
But if you hear Jimmy out there revving the engine, we'll ignore it. He'll go away.
Yep.
It's kind of polite when you think about it. It's courteous.
Thank you very much.
It really is.
I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah. I think you're thinking about other people. You're putting other people first is what you're doing.
Ruck and
selfless. Joy. Yeah. I'm sure that they would appreciate that now looking back on it.
Yeah, I don't know if they would. Erik,
they have dogs now, so I don't know. I mean, they might have had dogs back then too, which probably didn't like that.
Erik might. Yeah. I think we've always just tried to treat Erik with the utmost respect as well as joy.
Speaking of Erik, 2 questions. One, how did his grass look? Was his grass nice looking? He's got a good yard, I heard. I've seen it. It's nice.
Yeah, the best.
Big grass.
Bunch of Bismarcks.
No idea what that means. Tree?
Those are palm trees.
Palm trees.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, me and Adam used to call every palm tree a Bismarck to Ruck, and he did not like that.
Why is that? Why did you call it Bismarck?
Because that was the only name we knew. And Erik is very into, nature.
That's why his grass is nice. He's got a nice yard.
Yeah, extremely nice. Yeah.
Okay. Second Ruck question. Did you ever stay at his house up in Twin Lakes, Wisconsin, and he gave you a... Actually, you know what? I'm not even going to tee it up any more than that. You told me before the podcast, and I think this is a good story to tell. So just run through going up to Twin Lakes, Wisconsin, staying at Ruck's house.
Yeah, I'm glad you...
It's a good story.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Yeah, Erik's always been such a great friend and such a good person. And I was going up to nationals in Kenosha a little bit early, and I didn't know Erik very well, but we were both riding for Hyperlight. I think we may have we crossed paths at that point. But Dano picked me up from the airport and said, we're going to Ruck's house and we're going to go out and hang out and don't do anything stupid and everything should be fine. And we had a great night. I think we went to a bar where there was no one there because we were in Twin Lakes in the winter. Or no, sorry, in the summer. I think either way, yeah.
There was a bar. You went to a bar in Wisconsin, nobody was there?
There was no one there.
That's got to be a bad bar.
It was a
bar in Wisconsin, nobody was there?
It was a sick bar. I don't know why.
Was it weeknight or something?
Yeah.
Had to be. Okay.
Yeah, it was probably like a Tuesday or something. Okay. But yeah, so, I'm young. I'm not drinking. I'm driving.
Well, and you have a contest to ride in, Jimmy.
Yeah, it was nationals.
Yeah, it's nationals.
Yeah.
Okay. Continue.
I don't think I was driving, but yeah. So basically, we get back to Erik's house, and he is kind enough to let me stay at his parents' house and has this beautiful basement, puts me up, brings down some blankets, doesn't say a word, gives them to me, and kind of walks up the stairs a little bit, comes back down, and says, you know what, actually, I want you to watch these 4 videos before you go to sleep. And I'm going to, in the morning, test you on every video. I'm going to quiz you. So I want you to really watch these videos. And it was like 2 in the morning. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I was so happy to get this blanket. And I was just, but of course you have to do this, So I watched, it was like Hit It, Decline of the Water Ski Monopoly.
I bet Spray was in there. Spray had to be, or something.
Spray,
Something maybe made
probably
it.
Spray.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 probably the first 2 I watched.
Yeah. You were locked in for those.
So, yeah. And then the next morning I wake up and go upstairs and I was like, Erik, I watched all those videos. And he was like, what videos? I was like, all of it. Yeah. Those videos and he was like, oh my God, that's hilarious. I'm so happy I did that. That's awesome. I was like, oh God. I was so ready to get quizzed at that point. I couldn't get quizzed right now, but yes, at that point, man, I did my homework. I watched like half of one and then realized I wasn't really watching it. So I rewatched it just to make sure, I didn't have any focal points to talk about, Like I wanted to be like, oh yeah, Chase did this, or Staker did that toe side front flip.
You were ready. Did he quiz you at all? Did he quiz you at all the next day or no? He didn't.
No. At that point he just thought it was
just funny.
He forgot about it.
Yeah.
He was like that's I'm so glad I did that. Which I think is beautiful. I think that's a beautiful thing, man. Teaching a young kid a little bit about respect and about understanding what people have done before you.
Yeah, where the sport came from,
Yeah,
you got to understand it. So
yeah.
That's cool. I'm glad Ruck did that too. I wish more people did shit like that.
It's the coolest thing. I hope he does that. I hope he does that all the time.
I hope he does it like photo shoots and stuff. Like, all right, kids, give me your phones. You're watching these videos, and then
we're gonna take a break.
Take a break. Good scrolling. Oh, I love that. All right, I think we dive into 2008 Brostock. So we might be skipping ahead a little bit here, obviously, but is this one of the first big events you rode in? I feel like big pro contests, or was there some stuff before the 2008 Brostock?
I dabbled in some pro stuff, but I was typically I was a junior rider at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was kind of interesting because it wasn't like we were like set up to go to Brostock.
Okay.
We went to Brostock because all the sponsors kind of board sponsors dialed into it. So
really?
Yeah. So I got pretty lucky with it. I traveled with Aaron Rathy there, and then Adam and Chad came from Ronix. I mean, Danny and Parks were already there. I remember Adam coming up the first day. He was like a day later than us, or maybe a couple of days, but comes up and it was like 2:00 in the afternoon. And he's like, comes up on the boat. I'm like, yes! Like, my best friend is in the middle of nowhere, Lake Powell, Yeah. And he's like, are you drunk? I was like, no. And then I threw up. I was like, it's from last night, man. We're good. We just had the best time, man. We were just enjoying life to the fullest at that point.
Oh my gosh. Is this the only contest you've ever won? Because you won 2008 Brostock, right? With, was it switch heel 9 or heel 9?
Switch heel 9.
Little cab niner.
You can call it regular or switch. It was the easiest one I could do.
Hey, those details aren't details you need to tell people about. You did it switch. It's a switch heel 9.
I believe that.
Yeah. Switch heel 9. Okay, so you won with switch heel 9.
I did, yeah.
I think the word I heard was buttery. A buttery switch heel 9. Stomped it. Apparently, I couldn't find video of it, but we'll say it's true.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I believe it.
Okay.
I believe it happened,
Yeah. Okay, so you won. Did you win any other contests after this?
After that, yeah.
What did you win?
I went to Australia.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
You won a lot in Australia.
I think I may have. I won one contest there. That was right when me and Harley went pro, at the same time.
Okay.
So we were riding juniors and then went to Australia and rode.
Australian Pro Tour or whatever.
Yeah. And I think I got third at the first one, first at the second, and then second at the third.
Okay. You're podiuming every time.
Yeah. That was the beginning of Harley just.
Yeah.
You know.
Harley being Harley.
It was a great time. He deserves a lot of credit, man. I mean, the most credit. He is an incredible rider. What's really funny that you might not know, like a long time ago, I don't know how it happened, but Harley came and lived with Adam for like 4 months. And I would come and stay with Adam, and he's like, oh, yeah, this little Australian kid's staying, you know. And we would, like, go and do these things, and Harley would just be with us. And he'd be like, oh, yeah, man, I can do a Blind Pete, and I can do... And we were like, no, you can't. He ended up being able to do all the things he was, you know, I don't know, it was crazy. It was such a weird time, man. He had... Harley was just like around back in the day a lot.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he was around all the time.
Around and at the top of the podium all the time.
And man, he's incredible rider.
So you're saying going pro. So what does that mean for you, I guess, in your career at this time? Like hyperlight turn, like what is it? What does going pro in your definition look like at that time?
I mean, back then I kind of went off like the skateboard rules, you know?
Yeah.
If you were kind of pro, you were like kind of made pro by your sponsors, you know?
Yeah.
Hyperlight sounded like a 3-year deal with Hyperlight.
What are we talking?
At that time, I don't know, were we before or after taxes?
Pre-tax, bigger number. Go with the big number.
I don't know. I thought you were going to go with the other one.
You don't have to pay taxes on that either. You know? You can go post-tax. We can go post-tax. Post-tax is fine.
No, at that time, you know, it was like I had a decision between Liquid Force and Hyperlight, and it was super difficult to make. They were both 3-year deals. Liquid Force offered me more, but it was like a $500 to $750 a month kind of deal with a travel budget, which was very cool.
What's the travel budget looking like? Because that's interesting.
It was like $6,000 a year.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So a real travel budget.
Because I was so young, my parents had to travel with me.
Ah.
Yeah.
What age is this? You remember?
I signed with 15, right at 16.
Yeah. So why'd you go Hyperlight then instead of Liquid Force?
Man, it was so difficult. It was a very difficult decision to make, but my overall thought was that marketing would help me better and you know, to find other sponsors and kind of make my career the best it could be. I'm not saying Liquid Force wouldn't have done that. It had a lot to do with the negotiations at that time, and it was like how people responded and stuff.
Yeah.
And as a kid, I think you just want someone to answer the phone kind of thing, you know? But at the same time, the Liquid Force guys were incredible too. It was really, to me, making a decision off of like, where I really want to be. And like had a lot to do with JD riding for Hyperlight. You know, at that time, junior men riders, it was like sick to watch like junior men. Like that was like Henshaw, JD, Grassman, Jeff House, like. So like, are you going to take JD's path? Are you going to take Henshaw's path kind of thing? And I had met JD, and I was a huge fan of JD, and I think that had a huge part of it. And at the same time, this is when Ronix and Hyperlight split too. So there was a
that's right in this time,
bigger opportunity with Hyperlight to maybe make kind of betting on them.
That makes sense. I mean, I feel like the team kind of gets like split off a little bit. It seems like there's more opening, more opportunity maybe with Hyperlight because it's.
Yeah, if they can keep somewhat of the same name.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know there was a kind of a decision there to be had. I got a question that Parks told me to ask. And this is about double ups. And he wants to know about the Brandon Meek versus Jimmy LarRiche double up contest.
Have you met Brandon?
I have not.
Oh man, he's awesome. So Meek lived in the hood, and I think Alliance was having a rail contest, like on the just the little rail set they had out there.
Yeah.
But we went out there on my boat, and I was with the Score sisters, Alexa, and Tiff Score. Amazing girls. They're awesome. I think it was just us three that went out there on my boat, and they left all their stuff in my boat, obviously. Brandon Meek thought it would be cool to just grab my boat and take it to his house to get something. And I didn't care, right? But the girls cared. And he came back, and I think he got a real lashing from the girls. And he was yelling at me about, like, you know, I can drive a boat. I'm like, you know, why'd you take my boat though? Like, you can't just take, like, at least just tell me, you know? And so the next weekend was the Atlanta Pro Tour. And he sent out a mass text to, like, Rusty, Dishman, Parks, Byerly, myself, challenging me to a double-up contest. Byerly, I need a board. Rusty, you're going to drive it. Dishman, set it up. Parks, you can judge. And I was like, why am I in this situation? This is crazy. I don't know how those things happen, you know.
You got pulled into that one.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. So what happens?
It never happened.
It never happened.
But I was scared, dude. I was like, I would go and do double ups right in front of his house. He lived on the end of the canal on Clear. And just to kind of, I don't know. What was I going to do? Like the biggest trick. He could do the biggest tantrums ever. He was going to beat me.
What would you do off it? Heel 9? Switch heel 9?
Probably.
That's beating a tantrum. What are we talking about here?
No, it was height. I think
we're talking just
big, yeah.
Amplitude, as they would say.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. I think Byerly, like, brought him overboard and stuff. Like, it was like too much. I was like, guys, slow down. We don't like. I don't think
I don't want to do
this.
Oh man!
You stole my boat.
Why did you challenge me to double up contest?
Situation, man.
Oh, I wish that would happen. Yeah. All right, I think it's time we dive into the LF'n Wheel of Questions presented by Liquid Force.
The LF'n Wheel of Questions.
Okay, let's go.
So if you want to go ahead and grab that down, Liquid Force likes to make wakeboarding fun, so let's make this podcast a little bit more fun by spinning the LF'n Wheel of Questions. Make sure to go to liquidforce.com, check out the new 2025 gear they got up. Yes, we got some classics on here. We got Hot Take. We got Steal a Trick. We got Make a Movie. I think Favorite Method might be on there. Favorite Wake Film. So go ahead and give her a spin, and we'll see where she lands.
Yeah.
Steal a Trick. So this is, you can steal a trick from anybody of any era, no matter what. It can be from now. It can be anything.
I wish I could have spun like Parks spun.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen well, obviously you've seen it, but in the old videos, if you look how quickly he can get going, Finn Bullock does it really well.
Oh, yeah.
I think he spins that same way, kind of toe side. I mean, I don't think you can take anything away from Parks, though. You see his heel 9 and incomplete, and the way he like finishes and comes around. Me and Rathy used to watch that for hours, dude, like over and over, and then try to go and do something like it. But I think that is a very difficult thing to learn. I think that's kind of like a natural thing. If not that, it would be Adam's chromo, because it just pisses me off. He lands it every single time. He can land it every single time. He hasn't wakeboarded in like, I don't know, probably 3 years. I would not bet against it.
First tee going out, he's going to land chrome up.
And it'll be sick too.
Yeah.
Like it's like the melt, comes around. It's nice.
That's okay. Those are 2 good answers. I like that. We got a bonus LF'n wild card from the crew at Liquid Force, and they got 2 questions. One, favorite film, favorite wakeboard movie you ever seen?
Incomplete.
And the most underrated rider. Doesn't have to be right now. It could be at any point, obviously.
Yeah. Kyle Alberts comes to mind right away,
Yeah. Did you ride quite a bit with him?
Yeah, he was. I didn't really ride with him that much, but I remember he was like getting ready for juniors. One year, I was riding with Rathy a lot, and like I thought it was kind of clear. You know what I mean? Like it was like I there weren't a lot of people that were like doing too much. And Kyle Alberts was so sick.
Yeah.
I thought he was going pro, and he did not go pro. And then I remember like Rathy being like, "Oh boy, we got to get to work, dude." And he was always so sick.
Yeah.
So sick. And maybe Chris O'Shea too.
Yep, that's definitely a big one. So if you listen to the Christmas special, we left Chris O'Shea off Best Style, Mount Rushmore, all 4 of us. So that's very telling. Chris O'Shea, yeah. And Kyle Alberts too. Both are very...
That's a tough one.
I'd rather not talk about it. It sucks. But yeah.
Well, I hope we do a Mount Rushmore.
You want to do a Mount Rushmore? We can do Mount Rushmore. You got a topic? I'll run one through.
I'm just going to put...
You're just going to put Chris O at the top and just be like, all right, we're good. All right. I think we put this LF'n Wheel of Questions back. Thank you to Liquid Force for that. Like I said, make sure to check out the 2025 gear now up on Liquid Force. So let's talk Hyperlight. Funny transition, but how many pro models did you have with Hyperlight? Years, yeah.
It was 2009 through 2016.
It was 16?
I believe so.
And you had, at the end there, you had a boat and cable board, correct?
At one point, I had 10 SKUs, like 10.
Wow. SKUs is products for the people who don't know. Yeah.
So I think there was
different products.
Yeah, a children's board for both, and yeah, I believe it was 10.
Wow.
Yeah, it was sweet, man. It was really fun to, especially coming from the cable world, to dive into that. And at that point, Liquid Force is doing really well with. Yeah, I think that the peak at that point, which was insane.
Yeah.
So good, and no one was really messing with this stuff, and coming from riding boat boards on the cable and then to be able to kind of work on the early stages of trying to create that, it was a fun time to be in the sport,
Well, fun for a few different reasons, I can imagine. If you got 10 SKUs, I think a lot of green fun happening.
Probably not as much as you think,
How much do you think I think?
That's
I mean,
a
what
good
are we
question.
talking? Are you like getting royalties on each of those SKUs, or like what's that breakdown look like?
Yeah, I'll break down my SKUs if you break down.
I'll break down all my SKUs.
Let's go. No, you make $5 a board, $3 a boot, $2 a vest, and $1 a handle. Or those might be backwards. It's been a long time.
The close though.
But yeah, so at that time, the coolest part was that franchise board, the wakeboard.
Yeah.
The cable board was, it was good for its time.
The Jam.
This was the franchise flex.
Oh, the franchise flex. Okay, sorry. Franchise flex. Not in the Jam.
Shane named the Jam.
Of course he did.
I was like, dude, I don't know what to name this board. And he goes, Jam. And I was like, oh yeah, Jam. That's sick. And he was like, what? I didn't hear you. He was like, he always calls me Jam. So I was like, yeah, that works perfect.
I had no idea.
Shano.
There you go. So you had the franchise.
But the franchise wakeboard was doing really well.
That was like the number one selling hyperlight board, was it?
It had
package, maybe?
It had its time. Yeah, I think it had some good. It did well in the early years, and then it was just an easy board to ride.
Yeah,
and then the kids could ride it. It came out in a 38 and a 42, and then my biggest thing was having something that everyone could ride. And we would go to demos everywhere, and everyone loved it. And that was really, it felt good seeing people like that board. And then, and my biggest thing was being a young kid on the cable and not having like a board that fit me. I have to ride this board.
Yeah.
And you can ride the coolest Premier or Parks' board or so when they wanted to do the 28, or finally, went with doing the 28, that was really cool to me, man. I love that, and there were a lot of kids that love that too. And
that's sick.
And those aren't like big sellers, right? But it's like, that's like,
they're not big sellers, but it is important. Like it's very
super
important.
Yeah,
it can't be overlooked. So that is sick to have. You kind of covered the whole gamut there with all the boards. So what are you looking for in a boat board? Obviously you said you want everybody to ride it, but what specifically are you looking for when you were riding and kind of designing and helping out with it?
My biggest things were like something that landed fast and took off fast, but not technically like a hardcore continuous rocker.
Yeah.
Like Rusty's board was awesome, or back in the day. Like I'm sure Rusty's board is still awesome. Rusty's board at that time was fast and always landed fast, but it was, if I was gonna make something, it was a little too aggressive for me. And then before that, I was riding the Premier, and that was just a little too slow in certain places. And then I did a lot of work with Hyperlight, and we took out, I think, like 12 boards, and I did the same pass on every board and filmed it and very meticulously looked through it on like the way I was landing on the same tricks, and I was never landing really flat. So we made that's how we kind of designed that whole board. We made the beveled edges, but also they were pretty aggressive, but it was very difficult to take a hard edge.
You mean to slam via hard edge?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like Murray's board, you could go and just slide.
Yeah.
You know, my board, you couldn't really do that, but you could get away with it.
Yeah.
You know, you'd
Kind of a little in between.
You'd have to know what you're kind of doing.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So, what about in a cable board? Because you had a couple cable boards. You know, what are you looking for in a cable board?
So yeah, cable. I didn't want to like stray away from my roots. You know, like air tricks and stuff. You know, I didn't do air tricks for a long time. I was the, you know, scaredy cat, hitting the kicker, trying to, you know, do what I could. But when it did come down to it, I thought it would be important to have a sharp edge, something that you can get away with not riding fins, and still be able to do air tricks. And my biggest thing was, if you're going to have a flex board, to not slap. If you're going to go really big off the kicker, like if your nose and tail slaps, there were a couple boards I rode that the vibration just kind of like went through your knees and legs. And if you're going to ride contests and hit the kicker, and, you know, it beats you up, dude. Especially if you're getting that like extra
Little impact kind of thing going on, yeah.
Yeah. So I wish I could go back and ride that board with like the inserts, like, you know.
Which one, the franchise flex or the?
Yeah. I mean, I have them all saved up, but yeah, maybe I don't actually wish I could do that. But I just kind of feel like it would be better, you know. I don't know.
Bring that stance in a little bit, and then
maybe it would have been better if you did that, you know. I don't know.
I think it would have.
we were testing the waters, man.
Okay, so I was looking at the Jam. The Jam's the only one I've ever seen in person.
Yeah.
Because this is kind of right when I was getting into it. That thing is flat, the rocker.
Yeah.
Do you like that?
No, that was not the. I mean, it was not the idea. No.
Okay.
No, that it actually got a lot better from the photo shoot board that they brought in. Was that was gnarly. You know, we had tested some stuff, and it was really difficult at that time to test boards with flex. It was almost like, does this board work on the boat? You know, like test this on just riding, right? And then does this rocker line work and stuff? And at that time, I don't believe, you know, we had the best way of making a cable board. So that's why I say, yeah, I think we did.
Still figuring it out.
and they were, you know, they were all right. I mean, I guess I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, and the Jam wasn't the best, right? Could have been better.
It was pretty stiff too, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It would have been sick if that thing was like a little bit of a noodle.
If the whole thing was a noodle, dude, that thing would be a blast to ride, I think.
Right.
I don't know how you'd make it. I mean, I don't really know the construction stuff behind boards, but
yeah,
that thing was flexy.
A lot goes into that, man, and back and forth and trying to figure out, especially at that time, you know, and trying to learn the process. And I'm just very blessed to have been able to be a part of a little bit of that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But then Watson comes out with a hybrid, and I'm like, God damn it, Watson. So lucky.
Okay. So Hyperlight did come to an end, though.
It did.
What happened?
I mean, dude, everything comes to an end, right? And if you don't think that in this sport things come to an end like I did.
You thought it wouldn't come to an end?
No, but okay. you know, as you're younger, you don't, you know, everyone says, well, what are you going to do after? You're like,
this thing ain't never ending. What are you talking about?
Well, I'll figure it out, but you don't want it to end, you know?
Yeah.
It's pretty wild, man. It's like breaking up with a girlfriend that you've had for 16 years, you know. People that you've traveled with and have serious relationship, you know, like it's
a whole team of people that you're
yeah. And to think that those same things aren't going to happen anymore is it's like a sad thing, but at the same time you know, like at that time I knew that you know, it's not lasting longer than, you know, maybe a year from now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bittersweet, interesting situation.
So how's that work? You get a call that's like, hey, we're not re-signing you, or what? What are the details of it, I guess?
Yeah. I had a call on the golf course, actually.
Classic wakeboard shit right there. Wakeboarder gets called on the golf course.
Well, I guess they didn't know I was on the golf course.
True.
But yeah.
Did you finish the round after?
Nope. Me and Rodrigo split out of there on the ninth.
You were with Rodrigo?
I was.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was the details of the call? Was it?
Yeah, I don't think, you know, they knew where I was and stuff. It was just that at that time I was looking to get the schedule that I needed for that year, and I wasn't given. That was basically, we're to shout out Hyperlight for how they did deal with that. They that wasn't done. They paid me through the year.
Yeah. They
gave me the understanding of what was going to happen, and yeah, it's a wild time, man. To, you know, when you work so hard for something, you have it for so long, and then I don't think how you can't really explain it better than like a bad breakup, you know, because like you don't hang out with the same people, you don't hang out with her friends anymore. You know what I mean? You're like
the dog. You're not seeing the dog anymore.
Your dog's gone. Yeah, it's just and but in no means is it like harsh because I shouldn't have been cut. That wasn't it. It was like, you know.
I mean, it can just suck though. Like it doesn't, you know, nobody has to be at fault or anything wrong happened. But it still sucks.
Yeah.
You know. All right, let's talk some other sponsors here before we because I am curious on your transition from being a rider to obviously what you're doing now. But I'm going to list off a couple here. And I don't know how you want to do this. Do you just want to give me all lists of sponsor? You say how much you made per month, or does that work for you?
Yeah, well, how do you want to do it?
I want to do it that way. That's what I want to do, Jimmy. Monster.
Man, Monster was the best sponsor, dude. I mean, at that time, we had to do nothing. We got to go on really cool trips. I mean, but also do nothing. Like
their requirements, you mean, were like,
well,
you're on our team?
Like they were like just happy with what we did.
Yeah, just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, they had a trip that we went on in Canada. They had these 2 like triple decker houseboats, a couple boats, and they were like, we just want you to come out here and relax, chill, and enjoy a week. And they didn't understand when we didn't like wakeboard the whole time, you know. Like, there's a boat there, why didn't these guys wakeboard? And we were like, well, I thought we were supposed to relax, you know. I mean, it was just a different sort of vibe, you know, and it was just an easy paycheck. And what was also cool about Monster is they would not pay us for like 8 months and then pay us back pay. So you'd get a huge check and then it would be on par for the next while.
So you're not getting paid hardly at all from them, but you just get, when you do get paid, it's just a massive check.
Well, it would stay on track for a while. I'd have to ask the other dudes on how, I can't remember exactly, but especially like when you re-signed, it would take forever to
go through the whole thing and to get paid.
So, but then we would get this lump sum, and it was like, you know, you got your tax money for the year.
What's the biggest lump sum you got from Monster? I mean, do you remember how much you're making a year from Monster? Like what? Like is that how you sign? You sign like a yearly deal or a few years? Month to month, week to week, day to day.
After taxes.
What's up with you and the taxes thing?
Just kidding.
I don't know numbers before or after taxes.
Me either. I'm just trying to throw you off, man. No, you know, that was anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000
a month.
Yeah.
That's good money. That's real good money. Especially when it comes in at a one lump sum after 8 months.
We had some sweet photo incentives too.
Yeah, I guess this makes sense back in the day when you still get mags and stuff like that.
Yeah. It was good times, man. Monster was a fun one.
Let's go Fox. Because you said Fox was one that you'd always dreamed of, right? As a kid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All these I kind of did. Crazy Monster story.
Yeah.
Super weird, but I got dialed in with Rockstar, and I was riding for Rockstar for a little bit. But I was only signed up for 2 events, and those were, I think, Nationals and Worlds, and I was a junior rider. And this is like right when Rockstar was like coming out. Rusty had just signed with them. Dishman was taking care of the whole team. Dishman offered me a position there. He said, you need to ride in these 2 contests for incentives, and then we're going to sign you. This is what we're going to pay you, and this is the best you're going to get. And, I mean, Dishman took care of us like no other. It was really cool back in those days how he would get these sponsors on board and be able to kind of help us all out. And so I just didn't like the Rockstar hat, you know? At the time, like, they didn't have a cool hat, and Adam had, like, the sickest Red Bull hat.
The Red Bull ones are always sick.
You know, and Monster had cool hats. And, like, I didn't really care about the money or anything. Like, I wanted to just ride for the people I wanted to ride for. And I had called Grace a few times, who was another huge supporter of all of us.
The Grace umbrella. We've all heard many things about.
It's so cool, dude. Aaron Grace is a great person and helped me out so much in my life. And so I called him, and he's like, dude, there's no room, man. I can't do this, you know. And so I'm in Mexico at I think it was Worlds that year, or whatever I get the contract in my hand, and I walk to my board bag, and I'm walking, and I'm like, you're a Rockstar athlete now, you know? Right? It's okay. It's okay. Maybe you can make a cool headband or something, you know? And I'm walking, and I swear to God, dude, I put my contract in my board bag, and this dude goes, why do you ride for Rockstar? And I looked up, and this guy has a Monster hat on, and I was like, what? And he goes, why don't you ride for Monster? I just saw you ride, and, like, I would, you know, it just seems weird you don't ride for Monster. I was like, what? And he was the motocross team manager. And I go, man, this is actually my Rockstar contract right here, you know. And he was like, okay. He goes, I just saw that. I think you're cool. Give me 1 week. And he goes, what is that? $500? $500 a month? And I was like, yeah. He goes, I'll get you 1,000. Next week, dude, it was crazy.
Made it happen.
He made it happen.
So there was room, Grace.
It was like,
got to make some room.
It was like destiny, though. You know what I mean?
That's crazy that you're putting that into your bag.
It was the weirdest thing, and I can never explain that, why that happened or how that happened. But that was a lot of what, like, me and Adam did. It wasn't about, like, I don't know who was paying us the most. It was obviously cool to be paid, but it was more about like, yeah, what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know, and we worked that together. We had a good like back and forth, man.
I'm sure Adam's got some unreal stories too on his side of the coin on all that stuff.
He's the best, man.
All right, so yeah, let's talk Fox, because Fox, another one you said, you know, growing up, you always want to be on Fox, and Fox to me is like such a weird one to be in water sports.
Yeah.
But you were on the team, as many others were.
And Todd Hicks, our team manager, was a moto dude. Shout out Todd. He was sick, man. Such a good team manager. Yeah, that was a great. It was cool how that paralleled, and that paralleled too with, I think, a lot with Dishman, you know, and the sponsorships with the tour and stuff, and it made Fox bigger in the wake industry, and that way we could all make a little bit from it.
Yeah.
Fox wasn't ever like a huge paying sponsor, but we got a lot of clothes.
It's a cool team to be a part of too. I mean,
it was a very cool team to be. And I mean, also like I think Billabong would send you like 15 items of clothing every quarter, where Fox was like, I mean, we would just get, like, I would get a big box when I lived at Rusty's, and Rusty would get like 5 big boxes. And I think that's just because he wears like extra large.
Well, yeah, he's a big guy, but he's always wearing cutoffs, so there's not that much material there.
No, he was getting so much stuff, dude.
Let's talk Spy, because you're on Spy for a bit too, right? Sunglasses.
Yeah.
So
Spy was great.
Anything unique about Spy?
Spy was cool. Spy was, I think, my first paying sponsor.
Really?
Yeah.
Sick.
And they paid me the same amount pretty much the whole time.
No raises coming.
Sent me probably 3,000 pairs of something. I don't know, lots. You know? Not that many, but I think I have like 1 pair.
What happened to all this product? Did you donate it, throw it away?
Dude, I mean, the sunglasses were tough to, you know, I mean, do you have a pair of sunglasses?
I do.
They're tough to keep.
You're telling me, dude. I've never bought a nice pair of sunglasses on purpose.
Imagine having as many sunglasses as you need. You know what I mean? You take 4 on a trip and you come back with none. Like, it's not and I don't mean that in like a bad way. It was.
They're easy to lose. I'll say that.
I'm just saying, I wish I had a couple extra pairs on hand. You know,
you should have. Yeah, you should have.
Well,
if you had a couple, you'd have lost them. So.
Some of those blue ones I used to wear were sick.
Let's talk kind of a big one, Nautique. So, you didn't have any other boat sponsors, right? Just Nautique.
Just Nautique.
Through and through. So, how do you go from the point of
loyal? You
know, you said Miami Nautique was one of your first sponsors, or your first sponsor, right? Mm-hmm. How do you go from kind of being like a shop kid to, okay, now I'm on Nautique. I'm getting a G23 in my backyard.
So at that time, I believe some of the manufacturers had, you know, more of relationships with certain people. I don't think it hurt when I signed with Hyperlite with anyone else, right? Once you have a big board sponsor at that time, I think it really made a little bit of waves in other people's, you know, maybe people that weren't thinking about you, or you know,
solidifies you as a rider too. Like, okay, board company is backing him right now.
Yeah, I think it really helped.
Yeah,
and right as I was signing with Hyperlite, the team manager from Nautique took me and my dad for dinner and said, you know, chatted with us. And man, at that time, I don't know how it is now, but it was a lot to do with you, your family. Are we able to deal with you? You know, are you going to be like a pain in our ass?
Yeah.
Or, yeah. And so it was, you had to meet the family. And then you also, Nautique didn't do this, but Hyperlite kind of put me through the ringer with the team, you know. Can you hang with the team? Does the team like you, you know? wouldn't say hazing, but
Just a little bit.
you'll
You
have
got to rough them up to bring them in,
Yeah, you'll have to ask JD about that.
Okay, I will. Oh, okay. I mean, what is the paycheck from Nautique looking like? Because obviously you get a boat, right?
Yeah.
Are you getting money on top of that too?
Yep. Yeah. And they had great incentives too, but not that much.
I mean, you get a boat, so. But I guess you got to pay to live too, so that's tough. You got to fill the boat up.
Yeah. But I don't know what the scale is, but it was great for what we were getting.
Sure.
Right. It was kind of, as the boats got better, my paycheck got less, which makes sense. But I was also
Does it make sense though?
I was also getting worse.
Oh, you're getting worse on better boats. How's that work?
Damn it, Hunter.
You said it, not me, man.
I know, man. No, I think I don't think that does really make sense.
Go on. I'm just saying, wouldn't you expect if the boats got more expensive, the athletes would get paid more?
Yeah, I think in my career it was all relative to like it wasn't like you were making less or really a lot more. I can totally understand nowadays where you're selling very expensive boats to think that maybe certain riders deserve to. I bet there's some certain riders making a lot of money from boat companies.
I bet so.
And I think,
I guess I'm thinking like a Thomas Herman. His only sponsor, I think, like official sponsor is Supra.
it breaks my heart.
Yeah, mine as well. But I think he should be making a decent living off of that.
Yeah.
Just the boat sponsor, because he sells, several of those boats.
Yeah.
Is the idea, right? Is that he is.
Well, he must be, right?
I think he would be.
I mean, if that's his only sponsor.
Yeah.
He seems to, I think he's, yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, I would hope so too.
I really hope so.
Which, yeah, I guess he must be, because if that's his only sponsor, he's doing this thing. But I think we talk about, kind of the pro career as a rider coming to an end. And then, well, I guess you were on Never Summer there for a little bit, which I'm curious and want to talk about. But I guess your pro career ended, and then what happened next? You go to Lifestyle Wake, and I guess kind of run through that whole switch, I guess.
Yeah. It was an interesting time. I pitched an idea to Hyperlight to be it doesn't really have a name, but it would be like an active rep to help out all the reps, whether it's boat shows, stuff like that. That actually got accepted, and I was so psyched about that, because I had gone to Hyperlight to chat with them. I had sent this whole presentation to them, and then I sat down with the big guys there, and that actually did get accepted. And then months later, it didn't work out. They didn't know whether it was like a marketing thing or a sales thing. And but at that point, I kind of knew that wasn't happening. I didn't put my eggs in that basket. I had the opportunity to go out to Lifestyle. Tim Baggs and Jack Blodgett were starting this new dealership out in Bend, Oregon. And at that time, it was like the scariest thing to do, I lived in Orlando for the last 8 years or 9 years, and all my friends were there, and I had a house there, and I had just ended up, it went from losing Monster, which was a wild thing. We all did a photo shoot for Monster for like a week, and then like that next Tuesday, we got a call saying we were fired. And we were like, I was like, you're, so like,
Good one.
okay, yeah. How are you, man? You make it back home safe? You know, it was just like the most mind-blowing thing. And, you know, that's a big paycheck cut out. And you're never making a lot of money, but you're making enough money to live a certain lifestyle. And also, I think with wakeboarding, you kind of need to be able to make that money because you need to be able to bump yourself up in certain areas, right? If that makes sense. Like if you can't, if you're not being sent to a contest, like you have to, you know, you're investing a lot of the money that they're putting into you, right? So, you know, you lose that. Okay, now you're okay. All right, I can make this work, right? And then I think it was like Fox dropped out and Spy dropped out. And
So was it pretty quick? Like,
I believe it was like in like a year and a half or
that's
2
quick,
years.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was Fox first, then Monster, then Spy, and it was just like, whoa. You know, life can change very quickly.
Yeah.
And you know, those are great sponsors, but they're not a lot of people you're really close with. You know, like you meet certain people and stuff like that and go on great trips and stuff and have people taking care of you in different areas of the world. Meet a lot of great friends, but man, yeah, it's very weird when you start kind of having to readjust. But I think it is important for wakeboarders to make, you know, a certain amount of money to be able to travel themselves. You know, unless they, you know, Red Bull's great where they give travel budgets. I got a lot of free hotels from Adam Errington from that. You know, that was a great time. You know, but you know, it's tough. You know, you're spending a lot of money on yourself, and you're trying to live on a lake. You're trying to do certain things. You know, but yeah, once it starts getting ticked away the other way, it's like, oh man. So I got this opportunity. It was a brand new dealership, and Jack really wanted to kind of have a person like myself out there, you know. And I just took it very, very seriously. I was like, wow, you know, what else am I going to do right now? Am I going to go valet cars or something, you know? Like, this seems right up my alley. And I took it very seriously. And it was really cool because over the 3 years I was at Lifestyle, I got to learn it a different way than your typical sales guy would learn it, you know? If you're typically hired for a sales job, you sit down, you have everything there, you learn the process and whatnot, but we were starting from ground up. So I got to get the back end stuff as much as the front end and dealing with the pro shop and ordering boards or boats or colors, options, customers, license and title. Super fun.
It's very fun, I'm sure.
Yeah, if you ever want to do something fun. License and title. But yeah, so it was a really cool opportunity. And Bend, Oregon is a beautiful place, man. I can't say enough great things about that place. And to be able to move out there at that time was like the scariest thing I've ever, like, it was bizarre. I basically, I sold my house on a Friday. I closed on it. And Chad's wedding was on Saturday. I believe it was on that Saturday, and then I flew out Sunday. And it's just like on that plane, like, oh my gosh, man, what are you doing? You know, but yeah, at that point, it's like, trust the process, figure this out. And ended up being a good decision.
So you go there under the kind of plan that you're going to be a boat salesman, right? Is that kind of, there you go, the idea? You're going to be a boat salesman.
Cut that out.
Okay. Jimmy did not spill any beer on himself. That's what didn't happen there.
It's not beer.
It's not, yeah, it's Coors Light.
Water.
So you're going into Bend, Oregon at a new dealership selling boats. Do you feel kind of, is this a Nautique dealership? You guys are selling Nautiques. Yep. So do you feel at least like somewhat comfortable there of like, I know Nautiques like the back of my hand. That part I don't really have to think that much about.
Yes. So I never really considered myself much of a salesman, right?
Yeah.
That's a tough name to put on your hat, right? And I think that knowing the product and knowing wakeboarding and knowing how the lifestyle worked, no pun intended, but yeah, it was easy, man. It was like, it was really fun. The tough part was trying to figure out, we were learning, right? Like Tim knew how kind of everything ran, right? And he gave us so much knowledge and everything on how to do things. But we were also trying to figure out paperwork. What paperwork do you need? You know, I mean, it was fun, you know, trying to figure that stuff out.
Yeah.
And really learning the ins and outs of the, you got to sell a boat, free up some movement in your whole program. I mean, just certain things that I would have never.
You don't think about.
Yeah. And being able to get on the inside of that was very, very interesting.
Yeah. Oh, I can only imagine. Yeah. Like at a new dealership, especially, like even just going into being a salesman would be interesting, but at a brand new dealership. So, so you're still kind of riding though. Did you have any sponsors when you moved over there? I mean, or was everything kind of done?
I had signed with Never Summer.
Yeah. What's Never Summer looking like? Cause for the people who don't know, Never Summer is a snowboard brand and they dipped into making wakeboards for 1 year, 2 years.
Yeah. I think it was probably 2 years.
2 total.
Dude, they had the best. Like, so I went and saw them. I went to the Denver Boat Show, and I went and met with them. I think Alliance Billy McCafferty put me in touch with them, and I went to their place in Denver. All their stuff, USA made, and you know they're making these. Two different boards and 2 different wake surfers. And they were, you know, pretty good for not talking to really any wakeboarders about it beforehand, you know. And what was really cool was that process. Like, I wish they would have stayed in the industry because it was so easy for them to press and test a board. Like, we would come up with a concept, and by Friday, like Monday, we come up with a process, or come up with the whole board, and their process would have it done by Friday in my hands.
It's wild.
Prototype.
Yeah.
It was so cool, dude. And then they only did like a print to sell. Like if
really.
Yeah.
Print on demand.
Performance wants 5 boards. We'll send them 5 boards. We're going to make them tomorrow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
How was the money on Never Summer? Did you just sign like a 1-year deal?
Yeah, I mean, not that good at that time.
It's better than nothing. I mean, you got a board brand. It's paying you.
Yeah, they're that time they were paying me $500 a month. It's pretty sweet.
There you go. Did you ride the cable boards too or no? Because they had a cable board, right?
Yeah.
Just one cable board?
I made a pro model with them.
Did it ever come out? It didn't come out.
I have one. One of one.
What'd you call it? Jam 2?
They came up with the name. It was the Huck Jam?
The Huck Jam.
No,
Boom
not
Boom Huck Jam?
No, it was
Huck Knife?
Huck something.
Huck Knife is snowboard, I think.
Man, I don't know. I can't think of it.
Must not have been that good then if you forget.
Well, it was a one of one.
And you have it.
I do. I should have brought it.
You should have. That would have been sick. Maybe I can get a picture of it. That'd be great.
No, but dude, they were incredible at what they did, and they wanted to keep their wakeboard program going, and they asked me to move to Denver to head up their wakeboard stuff.
You said no.
And I was like, well, I'm not in the position to do that. I know a lot of people that would, be perfect for this. Their board shaper left, and, these are all snowboarders sitting around an office. They don't really
care about wakeboarding anyways. Like,
it was an interesting scenario to get into, man, and to learn, their whole deal. But I really wish they were kind of being like, well, no, if you want to do it, you can do it, but if not, we're not going to do it. And
wow,
because I don't think they wanted to do it. You know?
Well, obviously not. If they really did, they'd have been like, oh, okay, if you can't do it, we'll go find somebody else and make it happen.
Yeah, man, it's a bummer, but I always kind of feel like if you wanted to do a company, you make your product maybe like by Never Summer. You go to them, have them print it, have them do it right in Denver, because they make all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But their process of making boards to me was truly amazing. It was pretty cool.
And was their price point like similar to other brands? It probably had to be, right?
Yeah. I think it was a little more because it was all wood.
Some made in America too. I mean, it's more expensive too.
Yeah.
I'd imagine. But
yeah, I don't actually remember the price. But yeah, it was
they make boots or just decks?
Just decks.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I think it's time we dive into, speaking of boards, we dive into the Rider of the Year board. 2024 ROTY board. So you're gonna have to squeeze over there and grab that down, and you're gonna put a name on that unit here. So for those who don't know, we run through this board every time with the guests that are coming on, and we're trying to look at who the 2024 ROTY is gonna be. And this pod's gonna come out after the new year, but we don't really know when the actual announcement of the 2024 Rider of the Year comes out.
Yeah, when does it come out?
I think it's different every year. It's kind of when they feel like it. So we got River Cedric up top. She's got 2 additional votes. Pedro Caldas has 1 additional vote, and then we have Cole Crace and Trent Stuckey. So you can either put a new name on there, or you can say, you know what, I agree with the name that's already on there. So when I said River Cedric has 2 votes, that means someone wrote her name down, then 2 other people endorsed it. So,
man, this one, I knew you were going to ask me this, and I've been thinking about this a lot. And I just, are
you still pretty tapped in? You still follow wakeboarding pretty closely? I mean, you're a Double or Nothing, right?
I'm a big fan. I mean, maybe not closely enough to know exactly which contest people win and stuff, but
yeah, but you're paying attention.
Yeah, 100%. And man, Trent wakeboarding on the boat now too.
Yeah,
it's like he just got bored of being so good on the cable that he had to.
I'd love to ask him that question because he probably wouldn't tell you the honest answer, but it may be. He might just be a little bored.
But he's not just good behind the boat. He's like insane behind the boat.
Yeah.
Pedro's insane. Rivers is insane.
Cole's the wake skater, the lone wake skater we got on there.
Cole's badass.
He is. It's a tough one.
What's your pick?
I can't say.
Why not?
Well, because that's just for the guests to decide. Do you want an answer from me, and then you're going to take it and put it down? My guess, I wouldn't be surprised if Gavin Stuckey's name is written down there at some point.
Yeah, Gavin.
But I don't know. And again, Trent, I also wouldn't be surprised at. Rivers, there's a reason she's at the top, I think. Got the most votes.
There's a lot of people, but I'm not.
Ooh, he's going a different name.
I'm gonna go Thomas Herman.
T. Herm. He did have a very good year, didn't he? Won a Pro Tour stop.
Yeah,
Double or nothing back to back.
I have a tough time forgetting last year.
The triple.
He didn't win. You know, I don't know. I think he's just on a sweet path, and it's so tough, man. All these kids are so good, like Ty, Mossy. It's just so difficult, you know.
The ride of the year thing is like it's the one, you know what I mean? There's only one. That's why it's hard.
And yeah. And I think Thomas, I think he can be in that.
In the convo?
I think he can.
Okay.
I don't know if he'll win, but he's got my vote.
All right. I like it. That's it. Thomas Herman is locked in there for the fifth name on the ROTY board there.
You're welcome, Thomas.
I'd like to see T. Herm. I'd like to see on the cable a little bit, but let's see some cable clips. Jimmy LarRiche did it back in the day. Speaking of riding, though, how often, let's talk setup. So, A, how often do you ride? If at all?
Yeah, I try to ride as much as possible. You get good conditions, man. Good
You're
weight.
out there?
I would love to, yeah. Especially like good cable too, man. Yeah.
How often are we talking in a year? How many times you ride? Because you're down in Miami, so
it all depends.
Year round, you can ride.
I do use it as a crutch for like boat sales, you know. I'll do like a demo with someone, teach them how to drive the boat. I'll be like, "Oh man, I haven't wakeboarded in forever. Would you mind pulling me?" and their guard just kind of goes down, you know.
That's good though. I mean, that's like you're connecting.
Yeah, no, it doesn't feel like we're in a weird position anymore.
It doesn't feel like I'm trying to sell you a boat right now. It's like
and that's
we're hanging
all.
out.
Yeah, I don't want to ever feel like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I use it as a crutch in times like that, you know. But yes, I do wish I wakeboarded more than I do right now. I'd probably have nicer abs. You know?
That's the first thought right there.
Bro, for real. I used to be so ripped when I wakeboarded. Right? Didn't you?
I was never ripped, dude.
You didn't wakeboard enough.
I wakeboarded 100 days this year. You couldn't tell. Both trick-wise and body type.
Rayleighs?
No. That's what I heard, though. You do a bunch of air Rayleighs.
7 Rayleigh abs.
Is that the trick? 7 Rayleighs every set?
I mean,
I'm taking notes right now, dude. Is that
as many Rayleighs as you can do?
do them?
That's a trick.
Okay, I'll do them. I'll start doing them. Nobody look, but I'll start doing them.
We'll see next year, you know.
They're not gonna be looking. They're not gonna be good looking Rayleighs. I can tell you that. Is there a good looking Rayleigh though? I don't know. All right. So what's your setup when you do ride? Do you do boat and cable still? Or are you still just going on the boat?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's do both setups then. What are you rocking with?
I was riding. Well, I am riding the RXT. Shout out Mossy, those Red Bull boots, and the Springboks.
So you're a Ronix guy now.
Yeah, I guess so.
What's the stance looking like? You all the way out again?
No, man. I mean, I'm riding like I don't even know what size it's huge.
On the cable or boat or both?
Cable. So big.
52, 152 maybe?
I mean, is that big?
I ride a 158, 155 sometimes.
That's crazy, dude. That's crazy to me. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I believe it's like maybe 150, 152, 154.
152 is common size now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's massive.
For you, yeah. You think that's big. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to like pick it up and put it over my head. Walk it to the dock.
What stance did you say? What stance? Width and angles?
Like 12 and 12.
Classic.
Yeah. And then try to get a little stylish on the cable. Maybe come in a little bit.
There you go.
Not that much.
Just a little bit. Not that much.
Not enough to make you happy.
Okay. You don't know what makes me happy. It could be wide stance. Lance out there, dude.
I've heard these podcasts, man. I think you try to get them super skinny.
I call it the pizza box stance, dude. If you can put a hot and ready pizza in between your feet, you got pizza box stance.
Is that what you like?
I don't know. I'm not skinny. I'm like a little bit wider than shoulder width. I feel like that's not skinny.
No,
Is
that's
it?
not.
That's
No.
pretty standard.
Do you think that's why they made the board so big? So the skinny stance just wouldn't look as skinny?
I think so. You put me on a 144, dude, I'm going to look ridiculous.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Maybe onto something there. What about behind the boat? Rope length, speed, what are you looking at?
75, 23 flat.
On usually a G or?
Yeah, G23.
G23.
Yeah, it's too good, man.
Let's do the trick that took you the longest to learn. Does that anything come to mind there?
It was either the backside 180 or a 1080.
Really going both sides of the spectrum there.
I'm not joking. So I started wakeboarding at Ski Rixen, and I would go on Sundays to get coaching with the local guys there. You know, Campbell might be there. Sasha back in the day, Miss Crawford would probably be there that morning, you know, and I was terrible at wakeboarding, and I was just trying to learn a backside 180 for months. I'd go every Sunday.
Classic.
Months. To the inside, fall, have to swim all the way in, and my dad, you know, one day we were riding back home, and he goes, Jimmy, you know, maybe wakeboarding isn't for everyone, you know.
Damn.
And I was like, I know, man. I'm trying here, you know. I don't know. The backside 180 really gave me a lot of trouble, man. But, and then at 10, I could never commit. I would do
really
perfect heel nines, come around, stop, and just have like so much space, and just was such a.
You're just worried about catching the back edge, just.
It wasn't even that. It was being so used to that one rotation. You
got locked in on that in your brain, and it's like.
Yeah, it needs to be like a certain double up where you know you get around. I don't know. It's a different trick.
Yeah.
It's like a chrome up to a crow 5, right? Or like roll to revert to a back. It's just a different trick.
Totally different, yeah.
Yeah, and as much as it seems like it's just one more rotation.
All right, boat or cable?
Depends on the day, man. If it's a beautiful day, no wind, it's hard not to go out on the boat. But if there's just a little bit of wind,
hit the cable.
Cable seems kind of fun.
Okay, that's a good answer. I like that. I can get down with that. I say we rip through some Patreon questions here. We got quite a few. So we'll go first one from Brandon Lee. And he's going to tee us up here. We're going to get a guest question from Rusty after this. But he wants to know, can you walk us through a day in the life of living with Rusty?
That's a great question.
Yeah, you're waking up. Is he, smashing 7:30 a.m., bench pressing?
Oh, yeah, he wakes up first for sure. And he would barge in. I lived in the guest house. He would barge in, see what I was doing. And then he'd be like, oh, I'm sorry. And like close the door like he didn't know it was going to open. and man, it was so great living with Rusty and Lindsay. Especially like after I just like graduated high school, moving in with those two. Can you imagine if I would have just moved in with Shane or something, Like they had a family. They were, kept me together. They knew my mom. It was like the perfect way to move out of your parents' house.
Yeah.
And also the funniest way, because Rusty was absolutely hilarious. We would ride 3 times a day sometimes, and he would come in and he'd be like, hey, you want to ride? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm kind of tired. He's like, well, you can pull me, right? I was like, okay. Yeah. So, I mean, he was on top of it. He would not stop.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was a good time.
Absolutely. And I'm sure if you went and pulled him out to ride, you'd probably jump on the boat.
Also, before contests, like we would have to fly out on maybe like a Thursday or Friday. We would wake up in the morning and ride behind his boat, do our passes, double up. We'd both land them, pulled the boat out, head to the airport. It was pretty sick, man. Like,
I mean, that's pretty smart if you're thinking about it.
it was at that time, and I was in juniors, he was in pro, and it was just a really, it was a good time.
Good time living with him. All right, speaking of Rusty, we got a guest question from Rusty.
What's up, guys? Excited, Jim, that you got the opportunity to hop on the podcast with Hunter. Look forward to listening to it. Anyways, first and foremost, are you surprised that the nickname you gave Cole stuck so good and basically now that's what he's known as, not his real name, which is crazy? And then I guess on more of a serious note, what, in your perspective, what was it like being 17, 18, whatever it was, when you came to Claremont and lived in the guest house? I know for me it was awesome to have a young, excited guy that wanted to ride all the time and be around and push me and, just have that energy. So it was cool for me, but what was your perspective of that time in your career, leaving home and coming to live with me and my family? Anyways, hope you guys are having an awesome podcast. Look forward to hearing it and talk to you all later.
So you did kind of answer the second part of that, being 18, moving in. It was a good situation. What was
it was crazy though. Before I moved there, like I was in high school and I was like, he would be calling me over and over. Well, when are you moving in? When are you moving? And I would try to take these calls, in between classes and be like, hey, it'll be, it's a couple, I haven't graduated, I haven't left
school yet.
I was in high school still. And yeah, that time was very, very cool, man. That was like the rewritten time too. And such a fun, incredible time to be like, he had his, Merrick was just born. He'd come over and be like, watch Merrick. And I would like just stick him in between the couch pillows and just look at, I don't know what to do, be like, I'll be back in 2 minutes. Be like 30 minutes later, me and Merrick would be like, so what have you been up to, dude? It was wild for me, but such a great, I just feel so lucky to have had that. And, cause I could have easily gone down a very different path at that time.
I feel like you could have moved to Orlando, then just partied a shit ton.
Easily.
And then like nothing would have really happened.
Easily.
Yeah. Okay. Cole's nickname. What is Cole who? And what's Cole's nickname?
Do you know Cole's nickname?
I don't think so. But maybe if you say it, I will.
Cole's nickname is the only nickname I didn't really get to stick. I've been great at giving nicknames.
Yeah?
Bruce. Jeff Langley. I nicknamed him Bruce. He had a pro model called the Bruce. He has a dog named Bruce.
That one stuck.
Yeah. But Cole, it was a tough one, man. What rhymes with Cole?
A lot of things.
Except for butthole.
Butthole does.
Cole.
Doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Butthole Cole.
That was his nickname.
Well, I tried real hard. But
didn't stick.
No, it didn't stick, and I'm still bummed about it.
That is a bummer, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, you win some, you lose some. You get Bruce.
You don't get Butthole Cole.
No. But maybe now.
Maybe it'll stick now.
I'm sorry, Cole. I love you, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that one to stick if I'm being honest, if I'm Cole.
No, it's ended up just something like that I say.
I feel like B-hole Cole you kind of go with.
Oh, man.
That's a little bit.
You know what? Yeah. I love that one, too.
You run that one back. It's a little less vulgar, too, so you can kind of get away with it. Family won't be so upset on that one.
Thanks, Rusty, for the question.
Yeah, so I think, we'll dive into some Patreon questions now. We got one from Josh Boyle. Josh is on the Patreon, always submitting questions. So thank you to Josh and thanks everyone else on the Patreon. And he's going, it seems that your career bridges the gap between the Pointless crew to many of the people at the top of the pro tour today. I'm just wondering if you can talk about the differences between those two eras or the differences between the time when you first became a pro to when you stepped out of the pro spotlight.
Man, that's a great question. I always wish I was kind of, yeah, I felt like I was a little too late on the whole thing. Me and Adam kind of both were, it seemed like, because we got along so well with the Pointless crew, and Shane was so inviting, and all those guys were just so nice to us, and we didn't have that same sort of crew, you know, and that was such a cool era, and it was all, yeah, it's all, like, everything in wakeboarding is like, you know, the good old days, and they seem to have, like, the good old days, but now looking back, like, we had the good old days too. And I do think that me and Adam were probably kind of like a last part of a generation of like junior riders being able to like make money and have real sponsors into like the pro ranks. I'm sure it still happens, but you know, I think at that time it was a special time, right? And now moving into what's going on now, I don't really know. You know, I just hope that people get to experience the times that, you know, we got to experience.
Yeah.
Those were some great times.
Had some good times. All right, we got one from Garrett Cortez. And he's saying you and Adam were always together, always shredding, always having a good time, and always getting into shenanigans. He wants to hear at least one good Jimmy and Adam story. Could be from being neighbors in the hood or anything else around the world.
What up, Garrett? There's just like so many real bad ones, you know?
How bad we talking?
And like so many good ones that you probably wouldn't want to hear. So me and Adam thought it'd be a good idea to do a charity event where we unicycled across America. Or, sorry, across Florida. Sorry, yeah, unicycled across Florida. We thought this was genius. We were going to start in Cocoa Beach and in Tampa at the St. Jude Hospital. We're going to have wakeboarders there giving away their gear. We got Red Bull involved. They were going to have a follow car with us, and we told everyone about this, man. Adam even reached out to Torker Bikes, and they sent us these unicycles with these big wheels so we could get like more traction for every
less pedals, more distance.
Yeah. And yeah, so we told everyone we were doing this. And me and Adam, all right, it's time to start training.
Had either of you ridden unicycle?
No, yeah, we could.
You were good on the uni.
Weirdly, we were good at unicycling.
Okay.
Yeah. So we like mapped out the hood and how far we needed to go. We were like, all right, we'll start with like a mile. Easy. Next day we did like, I think 3 miles. And then the third day we did like, I think it was like 5 or 6 miles. And we looked at each other and we're like, we can't do this.
This is going to take a year.
This is not, I mean, we had to average, I think, like 26 miles a day to make it in like a timely fashion. And yeah, we were in a bad spot, man. We couldn't walk. But we really thought, I mean, we thought we could do this for, you know, a long time. We told everyone we could too. That was the bad part. And
sold it hard.
I wonder about that marketing guy at Torker who got that email from Adam and sent these 2 unicycles. Oh no, they're going to do this great.
They're going across Florida. It's going to be a big thing. Red Bull's involved. You didn't do it?
I hope he still works there.
I hope so too, for your sake. Yeah. Bad karma.
Poor guy. I mean, well, Adam's poor karma.
That's true. That's true. Good point.
Yeah.
Put this one on Adam.
Yeah.
I think you should have just tried it and see what happened.
Dude, we kind of tried our best.
I guess if you do 5 miles, you're like,
It was not possible. We were going to be in that hospital if we made it there, dude. It was a bad thing that was going on.
oh man. All right, we got one from Ollie DeRome, and he's wondering if you have the most successful cab 9 in the history of wakeboarding.
That's a great question. I don't know. I think Dan probably has a really good heel 9.
He's wondering money wise, because I talked to Dean Smith, and his back 7 off the kicker, easily the most profitable back 7 ever.
Yeah, I think those numbers were a little inflated. I watched
think
that.
so?
I mean, because I actually thought about heel 9 money.
He kind of did the math on it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Well, yeah. What do you think heel 9 money's looking like? What's your go-to?
yeah, it's hard to say, but it was I can say yes, Ollie. I mean,
The answer is yes.
There was that thing helped me out lots in my life.
He's also wondering, what's your take on having rails on the Pro Wakeboard Tour? You a fan? Bring 'em back? What do you think?
I actually love this question because
I love that you love this question.
yeah. So back when I was riding and things were gnarly, right? Phil is just crushing, right? You have tech that is just unreal. Harley is starting to crush. Then they made the drive format. Remember the drive?
Okay, for the people who don't know,
Yeah.
drive is a acronym?
Yeah.
Is that the word for it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. What is the DRIV?
It was,
I don't remember what it is.
yeah, no, me either.
Intensity is the I think.
It was straight airs, rails, tech, spins.
Okay.
And then, so it opened up, if you did real bad in straight airs, you know, like you didn't do something there, but you crushed it in tech, you're last here, you're not averaging out.
Yeah.
And that changed the game a little bit, right? And I'm not like, so now you have all these guys who are so good. Like when you watch the Pro Tour runs, it is so insane how good these guys are. And you're riding in pretty much like perfect water most of the time. You're able to like edge back in, edge out, do your trick. I think that's like snowboard pipe. Not many people are watching snowboard pipe and wanting to go snowboard afterwards. Right?
Yeah.
I'm not taking away from anything that these
That's
guys
crazy,
are doing.
gnarly, insane.
It is unbelievable, right? But how do you get the next guy into it? If there's no, like, you watch that, how do you compete with that? So, yeah, to me, I think the rails were cool because it put in an aspect of, like, I had to do a trick here, rail, trick, come back. You can't fall before the rail or you're completely out. And then you got to double up at the end. There was a lot
going on.
Who knows what's going to happen,
Yeah.
right? And to make it through that whole thing, you felt like you were kind of like, oh my, I made it through. This is awesome. But, yeah, so I don't know if, like, the fun box was kind of cool because it was just, you had to hit it. Everyone could hit it, but you had to. And, like, depending on where you landed, it kind of made it more difficult on how you were going to hit it. And you couldn't hit it as well and stuff like that. So I don't think rails should be on tour for a cool factor. But I do think that there needs to be something done to show, I don't know, there's cable, there's a gnarly boat scene. gnarly cable scene. And there's no in between. And I'm not saying that rails need to do that, but I don't know. If you get that half pipe vibe, right? If you kind of agree with that, then maybe we need to come up with something that gives the opportunity to someone to want to get into wakeboarding.
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. I think you're spot on with saying that watching Super Pipe, you're not going to be like, I want to go snowboard. Because I don't even know what I'm seeing. I'm seeing triple corks in the pipe, 20 feet above the lip. Yeah. That's not even like, to me, that's not even like snowboarding. Obviously, it is snowboarding technically, but like,
Yeah.
I'm not even on the same planet as that stuff.
And that's how the wakeboarder, like, these guys are so good that it is like that. It's unfathomable.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, how do you, I mean, if you can't possibly, like, the junior men guys, like, if they can't possibly try to win a contest, I'm not saying to try to make it easier for them, but to come up with some sort of way.
Just make it different.
To make it different.
Yeah.
Or maybe a different contest. Or
That's
maybe
what I'm
a
saying,
different, or maybe rails.
Maybe
I don't know.
Anything. I don't know. That is a good question though, Ollie. That is I was curious your thoughts on it, but I think just something different is kind of where I'm going.
Yeah. I mean, the average person buying a wakeboard is not going to be doing 1080s behind the wake. But if they feel like they can be a part of it, I think that's where our head needs to be a little bit more.
Yeah, I think just getting in that headspace and then seeing what comes of it, kind of go down that path. We got one from Chad Korecki, and he wants to hear about filming the Cheers to Summer edit. He said it seems like it was a pretty big deal when it came out.
That was super fun.
You had 1080 in this one, right?
I did, yeah. That was
Blender action.
Yeah. That actually kind of fell into my lap a little bit, that edit. It was coming up to Wake Awards, and it would be a great time to put in a video for Video of the Year or Web Video of the Year, and I had a few different things with a lot of people, and it kind of all came together, and the the girls in that, I called Watson.
Okay.
And it was like last day too, so I was like, it had to be done. So I was like, Watson, okay, well, where are they? Are you coming over with me? And he came over with like 9 girls, dude. How he does that, or did that.
All right, we got a follow-up one about Watson from Danny Evans, and he's wondering if you think Sean Watson was a good or bad influence on you.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
I mean, he helped you film that video. That's a good influence, right?
He was he was always the best influence in the worst way.
I couldn't think of a more high compliment someone could receive.
We grew up in South Florida, in the same area, and Watson always had my back, and I always will love him for that. Like the way he stuck up for me about certain things, and it was always hard to ever think he was being a bad influence because of Watson's personality. It's always just fun, go lucky, So, yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's hard to say.
It's right on the line.
I'm going to cut it down the middle for you.
I like the political answer there. Last one here, he's also wondering about the partnership you had with Red Bull in Miami. Seems like you're always kind of around, taking athletes and celebs out on the boat, getting eyeballs on, wakeboarding and kind of getting people involved. So I was just wondering kind of your relationship.
Yeah, super fun relationship. That started from Hayes Wheelis. Great dude, Red Bull marketing guy. He wanted to rent some boats in Miami. or not rent boats. He just wanted to use Nautiques for taking like CEOs out, and he had a bunch of people at that time that wanted to use wakeboard boats. And I was like, man, it'd be great if you could just buy one of these, so I don't have to keep trying to find one to take you out on. And he was like, no, I'll just rent them. And he's like, I'll pay, this much to rent them. And I was like, oh, wow. And this was in a time during like COVID where we couldn't keep a demo boat.
Yeah.
And this was the perfect way to not only put money towards a demo boat, but also brand a demo boat with Red Bull logos and end up taking out some
tons of people.
We had some cool people on that boat, man. It was fun.
People that are probably capable of buying a boat like that.
Yeah. But it was cool too, just because in Miami, I think if you saw that boat, you knew that it was Miami Nautique's boat, and you knew,
something cool was going down too. Like,
yeah, we had a lot of fun people on that boat, and during F1 and all that activation and stuff like that, it turned into a whole thing.
Yeah,
it's fun.
That's sick. Red Bull's sick. That's cool stuff.
Yeah, they're the best.
All right. Well, thank you to all the Patreon members submitting Patreon questions there. It really means a lot. You guys are on the Patreon supporting the pod. Is there anything else you want to touch on here before we wrap this up, or anybody you want to thank, over the career you had there?
I'd like to thank my mom, my dad, maybe my sister.
Maybe my sister?
Yeah.
Okay. A little bit.
Yeah, well, I guess.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll go with, yeah.
No, thanks. Thank you.
And yeah, everyone that's helped me. There's so many people out there, and I'm sure I missed a lot of names today, but yeah, I love this industry and I love everything you're doing here, and
Appreciate that, dude.
It's a pleasure to be on the podcast.
Dude, thanks a ton for coming on. I was looking forward to this one a lot. I've always been a big fan, and yeah, it was sick. It was a good chat, and I had a blast.
Thank you, man.
So thank you.
Too.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you guys are listening. If you like the podcast, rate it 5 stars on Apple or Spotify. That means a lot. And if you like it, share it with a friend or join the Patreon. That's huge. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.